We interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast.
Boom! Headshot!
Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another League of Legends video. This time I wanted to talk about Caitlyn. And let's do a why by Caitlyn. She is a pretty fantastic champion. Seen a lot of play recently. Just overall very, very strong in the competitive scene right now. Getting a lot of buzz. And she's overall a very strong champion, very strong AD carry. And let's just do a little bit of a why by. Let's talk about her. Let's talk about her strategies, what makes her so good. I actually don't really remember too much about this game, but I know I had a pretty strong laning phase, and I think it would pretty much show off a lot of what Caitlyn is capable of. She's pretty straightforward, so let's talk about her abilities. Her passive is Headshot. This gives her every 8th, 7th, or 6th auto attack, it will deal extra damage. So basically, it's like a critical hit every 8th, 7th, 6th. It actually scales down as you scale up your ultimate. And it actually will increase by 2 if you shoot from the brush. So auto-attacking from the brush is very good. This is a really nice way to poke at your enemies. It's a really good way to harass them. You know, you just keep track of it. It will show up in your HUD. You can actually see it right here on the left. You can see there's 2, 3, and as it scales up, then you can actually use it to poke at your enemy. It's just a very, very good passive for that, and it fits with her kit overall quite nicely because she's overall very, very strong at poke in general. So, but keep going. Her Q is her Piltover Peacemaker. This is probably her best damaging ability. It's a very, very long range, straight line poke ability that will do damage through every enemy that it crosses through. It does less damage for subsequent targets, but is still very, very good for poking through long minion waves. It also has a relatively short cooldown. And has extremely long range of 1300 range, so very, very long ranged ability. The only downside is it has a 1 second charge up, so it actually takes a full second where she steps forward, aims her rifle, and then fires in that straight line, so it's relatively easy to dodge. But again, gives her extremely good poke long range, able to really, really harass and zone enemies well in lane. And it's a very strong ability. This is the one that I take first and max first, put the most emphasis on using the most, as I missed a creep there, very bad, and I missed another one, yikes. Bad laning, gotta pick it up here, Clay. And I missed another one, goodness gracious, what am I doing? Finally, there we go, gonna pick one up again. Now let's go on her W, Yordle Snap Trap. This is also an interesting ability. There's a chance I maybe took this one first. I do some games just because it offers some nice utility. Basically, it is a trap kind of similar to Nidalee. So basically, you set a trap down and it will trigger. It will provide vision and also do magic damage over time. I believe she can only set 3 traps and they will last 4 minutes long, so it's not quite as useful as Nidalee's. I use it to, you can see I just put one down in the brush there to kind of act as a mini ward, just to keep you safe. Not to fully replace wards, but just to kind of help give you that little bit of extra free vision. You can also use it in lane to kind of help zone the enemy. You can kind of line the traps up to the side of the minion waves, kind of where your opponent would be standing. You can see I have one on the ground right to my left. On the map, and you just kind of use it to kind of keep your enemy back away from you, force them to walk over it. Overall, it's a pretty solid ability. Definitely works well. It definitely does not offer that much in team fights, just because it's difficult to kind of really pull that off quickly. But just give you that extra little bit of vision, keep you safe. I think it's very, very strong for her laning. Now let's move on to her E. This is her 90 caliber net. It's a very interesting kind of repositioning mini blink tool as Alistair charges in for no good reason. But he's fine, he's pretty tanky. 90 caliber net is a really interesting ability. Basically, she will fire this net in front of her, which will actually damage and slow an enemy, and then it will also knock herself back. So it's mostly used for the repositioning. And it's a pretty solid ability. It definitely its primary use is defensive, I would say, rather than something like Tristana's Rocket Jump, which is a little bit more offensive, focus on dealing damage, just because it propels her backwards. That and also because the slowing net stays in front of you, so it's best used when you're trying to run away and you have someone chasing you. You can just hit them with the net and then pop yourself backwards to safety. So overall, it's it's a strong ability. It helps keep you really, really safe in lane, and it helps you escape. I would say that having some sort of ability to get away or escape is a very, very, very valuable skill for any AD carry to have. So I think it's one of the reasons why I think Caitlyn is so popular, is because she has such good poke with all of her abilities, but then she also has good utility with her snap traps and her 90 caliber net to get out of sticky situations and also to prevent sticky situations. And then finally, her ultimate, Ace in the Hole. This is an extremely long-range targeted single target nuke. Very, very, very. I mean, it's basically like a snipe. You have to see the enemy, and then you can target them. It actually has a really absurdly long range. Like, I want to say, it starts at 2,000, and then at each level it scales up to 3,000 range. So very, very long range, very high damage. Scales with AD. The only issue, though, is that it can actually be intercepted and blocked by an enemy. So if you actually target a weak enemy, who's trying to run away, which is its primary use, one of their allies could actually step in front and intercept it, because it actually, there's this big line, and you can clearly tell who is being targeted, and then it can be intercepted. So it's actually a little bit annoying in that regard, just because it's difficult. I would say that of all the ultimates in the game, or specifically the AD carries, think about like Graves' ultimate, or maybe Misfortune, also these long-range, high-damaging type abilities. This one is not quite as good. It's especially poorly useful in team fights. It's more useful kind of in skirmishes when you're kind of dealing with one person. They get away with low health, and then you pop them with this Ace in the Hole. So overall, it's not the best ultimate, but it's definitely, it's still solid. It still is going to probably get you a kill that maybe you otherwise would not have gotten throughout the game. Overall solid, but I wouldn't say it's the best ultimate in the game. From an AD carry, as Alistar charges in on me with his headbutt, but I'm not too scared. Blitzcrank's going to get a pull off, but nothing too much is going to happen there. So those are her abilities. I would say that Caitlyn, also the biggest thing to note about Caitlyn is her auto attack range is 650, which is the highest base auto attack of any AD carry in the game. Tristana will outscale her by level 18 with her passive, and Kog'Maw and Twitch, I believe, have abilities that will grant them higher range, but right off the back from level 1, Caitlyn has the highest auto attack range in the game. And then you combine that with her Q poke, she becomes an absolute just beast in lane. There really is nothing that any AD carry can do to bully or harass her if she doesn't want. She can just sit in the back and farm and continue to poke, and just from a distance, sit in the back and farm, and poke you down. So it can make it pretty difficult and challenging, especially if you're more of a heal, or more of a close range, somebody like Graves or Vayne, who rely on a somewhat rather short auto attack range, don't have a lot of poke, have a little bit of a difficult time dealing with her, just this absurd poke. And that's one of the things that I think makes Caitlyn so strong, is that she has some of the easiest time in lane just because she has extreme range. Her Q allows her to farm from a distance. Her auto attacks can farm from a distance. I mean, there's really not a lot that the enemy can do against a really solid Caitlyn. You can see in this game, I am up 61 to 24 in terms of farm over Vayne. I'm just really bullying her out, not allowing. I'm not even right there. I'm not doing the most excellent job of farming in the world. But I do think that this shows you just how powerful she can be. This Vayne Alistar, there's really just nothing that they can do. There's nothing that they can do to handle me. I don't know if Blitzcrank is the best synergy with Caitlyn, just because Blitzcrank is a little bit more aggressive. I would say one of Caitlyn's weaknesses is her lack of burst. If you think about someone like Tristana, as you can see, I'm pulling out a snipe there, getting Vayne very low, but not quite enough to kill her. But again, if you think about someone like Tristana, she can rocket jump in, use her E, use her ultimate. She just has the capability of really getting in there and bursting her Corki. He's another good example. Graves, as we do get I get an assist there. Oh, no, I actually didn't get an assist, but get a help getting the kill on Vayne. And see if we're gonna stick with this on Alistar. One more auto attack. One more. Okay, nice job by Blitzcrank. Pick that one up. But again, she doesn't have the most burst, and she's susceptible to burst. Specifically like an assassin. She has a really, really hard time dealing with that heavy burst damage. Just not a lot that she can do to deal with it. But that is not to say that she, you know, poke is, I think, is pretty awesome. It definitely allows you to farm safely. She has great wave clear with her Qs. You can see as I was using right there on this minion wave, getting them all very low, finishing them off with some auto attacks. And she can do a lot of damage. She really is a strong champion. You know, I would say she has a little bit of a low mid game, similar to Tristana, because you know, her abilities don't really give you the capability to really get in there and pick up a lot of kills. You know, thinking about her most optimal burst combo would be to use her 90 caliber net to get in range, follow it up with a Q maybe, but you know, and then maybe follow up with an ultimate. But both the Q and the ultimate have these big charge up times, so it makes it very difficult to really get off a quick burst that's going to quickly kill an enemy very, very fast. You know, she's more about consistent, sustained damage, especially, you know, throughout the middle and late game, because she has this incredibly long range. It allows her to just be very, very safe, very, very strong. You know, in this game, I went for an early Phantom Dancer. In terms of items, go for a very standard AD carry ability. She doesn't really have an auto attack steroid, so attack speed is definitely a good thing to pick up. But also damage, I would say. Raw damage is definitely useful just because she's able to really sit in the back and just crush the enemy team. So picking up a lot of damage is always going to be a good choice. And she's also an excellent farmer, so I think that it's important to really take advantage of that if you're going to play on Caitlyn. You really need to have a strong laning phase. I would say that if the enemy AD carry is able to stay with you throughout the laning phase, that is probably a loss for you. You probably have not done your job, just because she really is reliant on a strong laning phase to get herself in position to be fed for late game. In this game, you know, we've already pretty much started to snowball. I'm up 90 to 39 CS, just a huge lead over Vayne. And Darius has 6 kills. It looks like Nidalee has a bunch of assists, actually, so she's doing quite well for herself. You know, not much else she's going to be able to do. Also, Lux is having a pretty solid game as well. But really, for me, right now, it's all about the CS. It's all about having that 90 CS. That's exactly where I want to be and what I want to be doing. And there's just, as the game continues, this lead is going to continue to snowball for me. There's not a lot the enemy team's going to be able to do. It looks like here I went back and bought myself some boots. Get myself a little bit extra mobility. I would say mobility is not the highest importance because Caitlyn has this crazy range. She can pretty much stay in the back and farm safely. If you're able to poke down your enemy consistently, you're probably going to be able to stay safe. You're not going to need so much movement speed. You know, and I believe that the traditional quote is that poke beats sustain, but burst beats poke. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that if your enemy champion composition has a lot of champions that are capable to really dive onto Caitlyn, I think she's going to have a harder time, as we get a nice couple of kills there on Vi and Alistair. It looks like we're going to burst a flash there on Vayne, not a big deal. But as I was saying, if you have a bunch of enemy champions that are going to be able to, some assassins or some really bursty mages, or even an AD carry like Graves, or like I said, maybe Corki, who have high burst, you're going to have, as I pop my snipe there, and it looks like it was actually intercepted. I'm going to go ahead and watch that one more time. I want to see exactly what happened there. So it looks like my enemy, what was it? I think Nidalee gets a nice spear there, followed by my snipe, which, it was actually, I think it was intercepted by Riven there. So nice job, but gonna pick up a kill there on Nidalee. Nice job by Darius to get the kill on Riven. But I'm just gonna sit here and just keep hacking away on this turret nice and safely. You know, and really I would say with Caitlyn, it is very important to just be safe, to make sure that you abuse your range. Because you have this crazy long range, use it to the best of your abilities. Allow yourself, it's gonna get a headbutt, nope, he misses the pulverize. Allow yourself to really abuse your long range. Allow yourself to keep a lot of space and distance from the enemy. You know, you don't want to allow them to get close. Poke it's essential that you actually get your poke off. As I go in here on, wow, I think that may have dropped her, but I'm pretty weak myself, and Vayne is, she's still there, and you know, she's not doing quite so well, but she's still dangerous. I don't want to be so crazy. You definitely want to be cautious, but I'm just going to head over here and farm away. Get myself some more items. Probably going to be going for an Infinity Edge, then perhaps a Blade of the Ruin King or a Bloodthirster. Using my Q to farm out these lanes when they're all lined up. Really effective way to farm. And then just auto-attacking. Farming. As the game goes on, my range is just going to become more and more valuable. There's definitely, I would definitely say that Caitlyn is the champion that can snowball. Just because she has that range, it allows her to stay really safe. It can be really difficult if you have good positioning and good peel. It can be very, very difficult for the enemy team to work well. And then one of the reasons I picked Caitlyn this game was because Nidalee was on my team. And, champions like Nidalee or Jace can really, really work well and synergize well with Caitlyn because they also have extremely strong poke. You can see here a little bit of a skirmish. Nothing really happened. Oh, should be going on. Going to get the snipe off on Riven. There's their nice kill using my ace in the hole. Now going to move on to Alistair. Riven goes down, Alistair goes down, Akali goes down, and we only lost Blitzcrank. So that definitely came out ahead. Fane's the only one left, and she's quite low. And really there was never any point where I was really in danger. There was never a point in which I really thought, ooh, it was a nice job by to get a nice pull there by Darius on Vayne. Don't know what she was doing. Kind of out in the middle of nowhere there. And then that last team fight, there was really no point in which I was really in danger. Also, Lux and Nidalee and I also we all have this tremendous poke. And Blitzcrank probably doesn't synergize quite so well. Maybe a champion like Sona or Janna that have those long-range CCs would maybe be a little bit of a better choice. But in terms of synergy, I think that our team has a really nice job of really working together. Just being able to sit back and poke the enemy down to the point where before the fight even starts, 2 or 3 of them are at half their HP. That's a really powerful and important tool to have. It really allows you to really dominate a game, and if you can maintain that poke, if you can keep that space from the enemy, it really allows you to it's going to be really difficult for the enemy to get a good engagement off. Looks like we get a nice job on... Okay, great job by Lux there to burst down after the Blitzcrank pull. Another one on Akali, just going to auto-attack Q, auto-attack, pick up the kill there on Akali. So again, we've got 2 guys down before any real engagement was put out. And one thing, too, about poke is that it really is able to punish people who get out of position. It's able to punish right there as we get Vi out of position. Where I'm going to use my ultimate close range, maybe not the best use of it, but just to get that extra bit of DPS. Actually, probably in terms of DPS, it would have been smarter to just continue auto-attacking. Just because getting multiple auto-attacks in is going to give you more DPS than one single ultimate. But, hey, that's just a good learning tip there. Ooh, a nice spear there by Nidalee on Alistair. And nice binding and Q, and he's going to fall. So good job by Lux. Lux has been playing quite well, and I really, at this point, it's just so difficult for the enemy to deal with us. We're ahead. We're snowballed. I've got a huge gold lead. And we've got Lux and Nidalee and I think that was one of the main points about this game that I wanted to show off, was just this incredible synergy between our poke. Any of these champions who are able to really do effective damage from long range. Right there, a nice ultimate by onto Riven. Nice job by but Nidalee pays for it with her life. I'm just going to be sitting in the back here. Really, at no point am I in danger. Watching out for Akali because she could definitely ruin my day. But going to continue to just auto-attack. Akali's definitely going down. Good job by Darius. But just staying very safe, staying in the back, and just really focusing on outputting as much damage as I can. Looks like I might be going for a Bloodthirster. Ooh, wow, taking a turret shot there. Not too scared though. Ooh, a nice pull on Vayne, and she goes down to a couple auto attacks by myself. Good job by Blitzcrank. Some excellent pulls there. Ooh, a headbutt there onto Darius. But really, at this point, this game is just a matter of time before we finish it up. But overall, Caitlyn, she's a very simple, very straightforward. She's all about poke. She's all about doing a lot of damage from long range, which is probably the creed of the AD carry. But really capable as we get a nice pickup there on Alistair as he's running away. Gonna use my flash to get away from Akali. But, overall, she's just a pretty easy, straightforward champion. Not really too much to her. Pick up a Bloodthirster. Also probably going to be a pickaxe to go towards an Infinity Edge. Bloodthirster for a little more sustain. But at this point, 4-0-10, I think that's probably a pretty, with Caitlyn, you're not necessarily going to get a ton of kills. I would say that because she doesn't have quite so much burst, she doesn't have this ability to just really rack up the kills. But you will get a lot of assists. You will be in a lot of fights, and you will be able to get a ton of CS. All of those things are definitely true, and ooh, a really nice ultimate there by, as I'm going to get a snipe off on Akali. Oh, she does not fall, but Vayne and I are going to do a little bit of dueling here, and ooh, I'm going to let her escape very, very low and weak. But at this point, this game is all but over. We're just kind of toying with them. We're definitely in the lead. Just going to keep throwing on a Q. At this point, I really just want to be auto-attacking on a Riven. Getting another kill there. Going to go on Vi. There's another kill. And where's Akali? Can we find her? Oh, it looks like Vayne. Another kill. Good job by Nidalee. And it looks like Akali is going to get away. But we're just going to finish things up here in the game. But really, Caitlyn is all about poke. She's all about that range, that 650 range. Really able to just do a ton of damage from afar. And it makes her really strong as we get another pick up there on Akali. So just racking up the kills here. And it just shows you how well she can snowball if the game gets to that position. But 7-0 and 11, not the greatest game. Definitely wasn't perfect. But I think it really displays just how strong Caitlyn can be in lane. And how that can lead to a really good snowball just because of her poke. You know, be wary of burst. Because it can get in your face and really cause you a lot of problems. But her poke is undeniable and probably unequaled in all of the fields of justice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this why buy of Caitlyn, the Sheriff of Piltover. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you soon.